Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton. Senator, great to see you. Let's start first with where you see, or what do you see as the likelihood of this invasion actually happening?
Well, Sandra, regrettably, I think the invasion is much more likely than not. I very much respect General Ben Hodges. It is true that southeastern Ukraine and Mariupol are very exposed, but it's also true that now the capital city, Kyiv, in central Ukraine is exposed to those military exercises in Belarus. The sad fact is that Russia has troops encircling Ukraine, and they're exposed on almost every front. But my estimate, based on the late troop movements into Belarus, is that Vladimir Putin decided that he wanted to get to the capital sooner rather than later, and that will be the first wave of attack into Ukraine should Vladimir Putin choose to invade.
Okay, so the military drills that Russia has started with Belarus, that tells you that this could be happening sooner than later.
I think those military drills in Belarus, Sandra, are nothing but a cover for a likely invasion. I think they tell us that since they're starting so soon, that we could be down to a matter of days, not weeks, for that potential invasion.
Okay, so as far as the role Congress plays in all of this, many Republicans like yourself in the Senate have long said that the U.S. should act first and not wait for Putin to make the first move here. So what tools do you have at your disposal in Congress? If Biden's not going to impose stricter sanctions today, what can Congress do about it?
Well, unfortunately, Sandra, I'm not sure that any action Congress could take would deter Vladimir Putin at this point. It's fairly late in the day. This stage was reached after a year of relatively weak and appeasing policies by the Biden administration towards Russia and, of course, the debacle in Afghanistan. I would favor very stringent sanctions now, as I have for months, on Russia and Belarus, for that matter. However, the Senate Democrats simply do not want to go any further than Joe Biden would. And I would point out that Nancy Pelosi just sent the House on vacation for 2 weeks. So even if the Senate were to pass legislation in the next week, the House wouldn't even be back until the beginning of March.
Are you in favor of sending troops into Ukraine?
No, we should not send troops into Ukraine, Sandra. We do have troops on the Polish border, as you heard the report. That's potentially to facilitate civilian evacuation from Ukraine. I would say this about the more than 30,000 Americans we have in Ukraine. You should leave now. If you do not leave now, you should make a plan to leave by ground to the west into countries like Poland or like Hungary. You should not expect that the American military is going to be able to fly aircraft into Ukraine to help you evacuate after a potential invasion. For the sake of safety, I would urge all Americans in Ukraine to leave today.
Got it. I want to finish off with this. As far as there still being any room for diplomacy here, this is the Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, who says this: "I'm honestly disappointed that what we have is a conversation between a dumb and a deaf person. It seems like we listen but don't hear. Our troops are located on our own territory." Your response to that, finally.
Well, Sandra, throughout history, whenever you look at diplomacy leading up to war, there's always a question of whether diplomacy was trying to avoid war and it simply failed, or diplomacy was a ruse to buy time to prepare for war. I think based on the extravagant demands that Vladimir Putin has made over the last 3 months and the actions we've seen since this buildup began in October, diplomacy for the last 3 or 4 months has been nothing but a ruse to prepare for the right conditions to invade Ukraine. Regrettably, because of failures of policy and weakness over the last year, as well as Vladimir Putin's desires, I think the diplomatic route has reached its end.
Okay, Senator Tom Cotton joining us top of the hour. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, John.